Thanks for staying with us. On relationship today, we have with us Pastor Tosin Tope Babalola. He is a seasoned teacher of the Word of Life. He has been a huge asset to his generation in the area, teaching on the subject of relationships and marriages. He's a certified advanced marriage counselor from the Institute of Marriage and Family Affairs, USA, and he's been able to restore a lot of broken marriages to their blissful states. This morning, we will be discussing 10 things real women do in marriages. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are
Thank
you
you for
doing
having
today,
me.
sir?
Very well, I'm great.
Thanks for being here, Pastor.
I'm glad to be
Okay,
back.
let's get right into it. So last week we talked about 10 things real men do in marriages. And this week we're for the women.
Women,
Who
yes.
is a real woman?
Okay, so just like we said last week, we'll borrow a bit from a definition from last week. We talked about who a real man is, and the definition was that a man is not just a male. A man is a person that has embraced the responsibilities of the office of a male. And same applies to who a real woman is too. A woman is not just determined or decided by the genitals, or, is not just a female. She's somebody that had, chosen to embrace the demands of the office of being, a female, So there are responsibilities, there are role plays, and a woman becomes a woman, transit from being a female to being a woman when she embraces, those responsibilities. So that's what makes a real woman.
Okay, now let's talk a little bit, before we begin to highlight some of these, 10 things that a real woman should do. There's been a debate around, or even concerns actually, let's leave them as concerns of women who play both roles, masculine and feminine roles, right? And especially in situations where she is the breadwinner, she needs to, play a more masculine role because she's, taking on the responsibility of a man. How does she, balance between being a real woman and, still carrying on the responsibilities of a man?
I would like to start by saying that that is not supposed to be the normal sequence.
Yes.
And if we find ourselves, if any family should find, itself in that position, it should be temporal. The ideal thing, what makes a marriage work the way it should work, is that the man should occupy, his own position, and then the woman should occupy her own position. There's going to be a lot of friction and, a lot of unsettlement as time proceeds, when a woman is occupying that position. So I'm of the school of thought that it should be temporal, even if it is happening. I've been there before, where my wife, basically financially, my wife was earning more than I was earning. It wasn't a major problem because while that was going on, I was putting in very frantic effort to, redefine the roles. And then another thing is that that should only happen financially, because we cannot control the economic climate around us.
Exactly.
The fact that your wife is earning more than you should not make her become, the person that occupies the roles of a man. Financial stability in marriage is just one of the things that makes the man the man. It's not the sum total. There are other things you can do as a man that keeps you in your role as a man. So that one will just be, the financial part will just be a borrowed responsibility that is meant to be temporal. You understand?
Fantastic.
So
thanks for establishing that. Now let's get right into some of those things that makes a real woman in the marriage.
Okay, so there is a need for us to also mention that a real woman will be a person that understands her role play with the different categories of people represented in the home. So she has responsibilities towards the husband. Number one, for me, these roles are in their hierarchy. What is obtainable around you determines which one comes first. Yeah. So I would say for someone or for a family resident in Nigeria and for a man, being the peace of the man becomes number one. Because every man in Nigeria, or almost every man in Nigeria, is under intense pressure. So being the peace of that man is your number one responsibility. Then giving him the gift of submission well defined, although, because I've discovered that many people believe also that submission is withdrawing the voice of the woman in the house, and then she must follow every instruction.
She must be obedient.
She must be obedient. That's not the real definition of being submissive. Being submissive simply means that you become a sub-part of the mission of the man. You embrace what the man is trying to achieve also as part of your project, because the very essence of the woman from the religious perspective is that she's there to be a helpmeet. So when we're talking about submission, in fact, a woman is not going to help your destiny as a man if she says yes to everything you are doing. She's supposed to be a check that cautions you when you are straying and all of that. So if you take away her voice in the name of submission, you have caused her to miss a very important role that she's supposed to play. So being submissive is, then she should be a multiplier. A woman is expected to be a multiplier. It is said that if you give a woman a house, she produces a home. Yeah. If you give her spermatozoa, she produces a child. Give her, groceries, she gives you a meal. So a woman is expected to play that role where substances that are given to her are multiplied into usable bits, serving the needs of everybody. A woman should also be a succor for the children. Most busy men, most resourceful men, take it or leave it, they can't be as available as the woman. And I'm not talking of I'm not talking of physically alone. I'm also talking about emotionally and all of that. So a woman should be a place where the children can run to every time, A woman should be a defense for her husband. It's a pity that our culture today, has promoted the culture or the attitude of women talking down on their husband, especially when they are challenged. Time and seasons fizzle out. If you have, destroyed the image of your husband because of the pain of the moment, when that is corrected in your home, people will not, travel the journey of that correction with you. Yeah. So their perception about your husband is retained, even after things have been corrected. So it is essential that you be a shield to that man during trying time. You cover him and all of that. I also believe that a woman should ensure a spiritual spice in their home because of the work schedule of, the man. Sometimes, of course, they're supposed to be the head when it comes to the religious beliefs of the home, but she can be the ginger. She should be someone encouraging, the man. Okay, so we should pray, we should do this. It's very, very important. That's one of the things we saw with our parents, and it really helped their homes. I don't know which one I've mentioned and the ones I've missed. Okay. I also believe that a woman should also control the atmosphere of the home. There's a way a woman can be on that. Women project mood swings a lot of the time. And when you go from 100 to 0 on your husband or your children, the atmosphere of the home changes. So you must be conscious of the atmosphere of the home and try as much as possible to help to maintain a very peaceful and blissful atmosphere around your home. That's also very important. Which one have I not mentioned?
Oh, well, we'll reel through some of them, before we quickly wrap up. But then there was a conversation we had earlier on of a video of a childcare who was revering her husband and, ascribing so much to him, being her support and pillar. And that sort of spurred the conversation around, how women or how people actually perceive successful women, especially ones that are married, and how people are always quick to ascribe, a man's success to hers, that without the man, she won't be or she can't be. So let's talk about the dynamics that happens, in relationships of that sort, because we also have situations where, successful women do not get that sort of support from their men or from their partners. And then we've also had cases where the men, sort of tell them to, stay at home, do not do anything, basically just to, to be housewives, regardless of, all their achievements and all their qualifications. So in those sort of situations, what would you advise, in situations where, that's sort of things?
Well, I would like to say that there are two sides to this.
Yeah.
Number one, I think it is high time as a society that will begin to credit the women with their successes.
Yeah.
I think we should begin to do that. Because our culture promotes the man as the all in all, it is such that even when a woman is doing very well, we tend not to want to acknowledge the fact that she's doing well. I think that should stop.
Okay.
If your woman is doing well, be humble enough to project her.
Project her and for support.
However, I would also say that whatever level of success a woman attains without the support of her husband, if she had had the support of her husband, she would have doubled that level of success. She would have doubled it. There's no way.
On that interesting note, we have to wrap up the segment. Thank you so much for, addressing that and, hitting the nail on the head. Thank you so much. And
good to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
It's always a pleasure having you.